Barry Perkins, CEO, Veed. Remember, you have 7 minutes and 6 minutes. Go ahead, Barry, please. Okay, great. Barry, if you can hear me, I think you're muted.
There. Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good to
There we go.
go. You're good to go.
Apologies there. All right. Thank you for having me here. It's great to have an opportunity to talk to you, but more importantly, actually to listen to and meet so many of you. Veed is looking as a company to transform the cannabis market space. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but it's a global market membership and marketplace, and we're facilitating commerce in the cannabis market. As we go through here, I'll talk to you a little bit about a commerce facilitator, but our effort is to help everybody in the cannabis space grow and be successful. To start off with, you're all familiar with the numbers in the cannabis space around the world. The numbers are large and they're growing, especially as the legislation changes. If you look at the target addressable market that we're going after globally, almost $1.4 billion, but we're initially focused exclusively in North America for now, which is, as you can see, $37.9 billion. Our projection in the next 2 years, at the end of that 2-year period, our annual gross revenue will be $40 million. So how do we approach this? The current cannabis market is making a transition from the illicit to the legal space. We all live there. It's got some interesting challenges. Any new market has inefficiencies that are built into it. The current structure, as it grows, is complex. It limits people's access to growth. It reduces the amount of effort it takes to drive growth, reduces your profits. And the whole concept of getting your message out and helping people be aware is a prepaid advertising and marketing space. That's not based upon us. That's the Googles, the Facebooks, all of those people of the world. It's high costs and extremely low returns. So if you're stepping into this market, it's complex. And how do you make money in that? Alongside with that, the path to purchase in the space has changed, especially with COVID. There's an even more dramatic increase in online purchases. And what's fascinating is the level of trust that people put in recommendations from others, even those that they don't know. And even more fascinating right now is of online sales, 55% of them are for products that are discovered on social media, which means your presence in social media and media is incredibly important. So how do you get there? Well, that's kind of the problems that in the market. The way we're addressing it is that we are a commerce facilitator. You're all familiar with payment facilitators, the Stripes of the world. How do you move the actual cash from one place to another? In our space, the challenge is that the market being fragmented, how do the businesses on the B2B side communicate with each other? And how do the businesses to consumers communicate with each other? And how do you connect with consumers? And how do you access the media and the social network? We connect all of them so that they can all work with together, know who each other is, know how to access the network and leverage the network effect that's out there. The key element that we have in what we do is the social mechanism and a complete attribution of the entire chain. We enable the business side to know your customers, even on the wholesale side to know your customers, so you can build the right product at the right time for the right place and make it get out to sale. So in that whole idea of getting network or people out and selling for you and talking about your product, instead of doing prepaid through Facebooks and other kinds of advertising, with most people taking recommendations from friends, people they know, even people they don't know when they talk about reviews, we're focused on co-sellers. We introduce the makers, the sellers, and the buyers through people who are co-sellers. What do? Why would they want to do it? Because they get paid. They get paid to actually participate in this space. And those co-sellers drive your sales funnel, and they drive it at scale in a profitable fashion with a reduced cost because they do the communication, they leverage their networks. You're not trying to find those networks. And that whole, the funnel where the co-seller actually does the work, that is the turbocharger to your engine that we provide. And that works because we can do the attribution and have the data and the analytics to understand and present that so you can leverage it. Well, that's if you get a co-seller. Well, how do you get co-sellers to start with? First and foremost, the best reviewers of your company that make the best recommendations are your customers. And those customers are paying to buy your product. Well, as we go along in the way we have this structured, they buy a product, they learn how to actually become a co-seller and make money talking about a product, your product, that they love. And that increases your awareness in the market, and it drives a new growth to your customer base because you get new customers reading those recommendations and then they go and buy. And you're not doing the work for it. But that's still a limited growth model. So how do we drive growth at scale? We work with the media companies. Media companies, as we all know, are struggling to find a way to drive revenue in the current space as the evolution of the media space goes. We have the engine that enables them to make money by talking about you and what you do, not in a prepay, but a postpay. I'm not taking away from the ad units they already have. It's an additional ability for them to make money and the place for to present to co-sellers. Imagine a media company that's got 10 million subscribers posts out there that they would love to have the people join and sign and become co-sellers. You get 10%. That's a million. 10% of those are active. You suddenly have 100,000 co-sellers. That's how we drive growth at scale with the people that drive your business. So who do we have that we're working with right now?
Barry, you have 6 minutes left.
Okay. We are about to launch, and these are the companies that we have on board. They right now have $100 million of annual network GDP. That's their revenue, not our revenue. From there, this is the business model and the revenue that we are going to be getting and how we look to grow it. We have a business model underneath there, happily to go through all of that in due diligence with investors. This is the team. You can look us up. It's a very strong, powerful, capable team. And where we are right now, we're in the process of raising a $2 million convertible where we're looking to launch Veed next month. And based upon the current GDP of the network that we already have, of the brands that we have, and drive that growth from there. So this is Veed, and I'd love to have any questions and hear from you and talk to you about investing.
So I think, Barry, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to lead off. I saw your presentation before, and I want to commend you on improving it. But I still would like you to amplify upon the network effects. I think that's critical to your model, and I want to make sure other people also understand that as well.
That's a good point. Is the network effect is the ability to accelerate and drive growth through scale by leveraging people and their networks and how they work out. Every one of you has a network of people that you work with, that you talk to, that people look at and rely upon what you have to say. The network effect is as each person engages their network, and then the people in that network then engage their network. It grows exponentially. And this is how 1 becomes 100, becomes a million people talking about your product. An example, in the businesses that are, this model underneath, the technology is based upon, in India right now, that area, we have a 400 million member network. with companies like Shiro's that are coming on board using with 25 or 30 million members, right? That's what we're building in North America for cannabis.
Judges, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, John, there's a few of us that listed. I know Tim has a question. My quick question is just very simplistic, Barry. I know you went over your management team very quickly. Can you spend a quick 20, 25 seconds just talking about your team's background and their experience in doing this type of business?
Okay. 2 points, or 1 point first. Quick, to John's point about the network effect, the people that get engaged sell and make money, and then they leverage the network revenue of all of the people they engage. That model and the structure was from engineering of prior companies by Amit Rithor, and he's listed there. He's built multiple companies that have gone live in India. He's the one that in those prior companies, it's 400 odd million people that are already part of it. He has done that before. Myself, you can look me up online. I joined Oracle Corporation when it was a startup with 200 people and just over 25 million of revenue. And 28 years later, after doing just about every job function there, it was 130,000 people, almost $40 billion of revenue. And my quota for my team was $1.5 billion a year for the last 5 years. Inside, I was an entrepreneur. I built new businesses, grew them to scale, mainstreamed them. So I have been building and starting businesses for decades. I stepped outside of Oracle and now I'm doing it on my own. And I have a number of entities I've started. Our lawyer, as you can see in there, is got a tremendous background in this whole security space, as well as in dealing with the cannabis space. And you see our CPO, Naveen, he's the driving engine behind the AI, the data and elements. He has done incredible work in the past of what he does. And that's the key underlying model. So I think hopefully, David, that answers your questions.
It does. Thank you very much, Barry. I appreciate that.